Okay, you know that thing your cat does, staring at a glass on the edge of a table and then just deliberately pushing it off. We all just laugh and say, oh, that's just cats being cats, right? But what if it's something way more profound? Let's dive into this wild, but honestly weirdly plausible theory.
So this is the quote that really kicks the whole thing off. Now, a regression suite, if you're not in tech, that might sound like jargon. But all it is really is a set of tests that software developers run over and over again to make sure that a new bit of code hasn't broken something that was already working. You know, it's methodical, it's repetitive, and it's all about finding bugs. Sound like anyone you know?
So what if this isn't just some funny joke for Twitter? I mean, what if our cats are literally debugging reality? Okay, let's take that idea seriously for a minute and see where it goes.
And, well, that path leads us straight into some pretty deep territory. We're talking about simulation theory. You know, the idea that what we think of as reality isn't really the base reality at all, that we're living inside some kind of super advanced computer program. Okay, so here's the core idea. Every single time your cat knocks something off the counter, it's not just being a little jerk, no. It's being an experimental physicist. It's checking, hey, does gravity still work the same way today as it did yesterday? It's looking for those glitches, those edge cases in the code. So to really get on board with this, we kind of have to shift our whole perspective. We have to stop thinking of them as just our cute, furry pets and start seeing them for what they might really be, super disciplined, methodical researchers. And just look at this contrast, right? When you or I knock something over, it's an accident. It's an oops, and we clean it up. Why? Because we just assume physics is stable. We take it for granted. But a cat makes no such assumption. That deliberate little push, doing it over and over, that intense stare, that's not clumsiness, that's data collection. I mean, look at this. It's basically a perfect textbook example of the scientific method. They observe, they form a hypothesis, will this fall? They apply a precise force, and then they record the results. Then they repeat it. They change the variables, right? Different objects, different heights, different little pushes. They are rigorously testing the API of reality. And they've been doing this for thousands of years. Okay, but this whole idea runs into a massive philosophical wall. A big problem. If you're inside the simulation, how could you ever actually find a glitch? Let's dig into that. I mean, really think about it. Your brain, your eyes, your memories, they're all part of the system. They're all running on the same hardware. So if a cat nudged a mug off a table and it suddenly just fell up, what would you actually experience? Right. The system could just patch the frame. It could edit that moment right out of your memory or the cat's. The glitch happens and then poof, it's gone. It's like trying to report a bug using a broken app. It's just not going to work. So any inconsistency you do manage to see is only there because the system let you see it. And this is where things get really, really weird, because some actual physicists have pointed out that, quantum mechanics, this whole idea that particles don't really have a definite state until we look at them, it looks suspiciously like a rendering shortcut, an optimization that you'd find in a video game. Yeah, it's a technique called level of detail culling, or LOD culling. Think about it. Why would a video game waste processing power rendering every single leaf on a distant tree that the player isn't even looking at? It doesn't. It waits till you get closer. So why would the universe bother to render the final state of an electron until an observer, a player if you will, actually forces it to choose one? Okay, so if finding a bug from inside the system is basically impossible for one person or one cat, how could they ever hope to succeed? Well, the thing is, they aren't working alone. They're part of something much, much bigger. They've got a few secret weapons, right? 3 huge advantages. First up, epistemic humility. They don't have any theories telling them how physics should work. They just test what is. Second, this whole test gravity thing, it's not just something they learn. It's instinct. It's literally encoded in their genes. And third, well, their senses are just way better than ours. And that just reframes the whole thing, doesn't it? This isn't one scientist. It's a massive civilization-scale research program. It's not one cat pushing one glass. It's millions of cats over thousands of years, all running the same distributed experiment. And the results? They don't get published in some dusty journal. They're passed down through DNA. Survival itself, that's the peer review. And honestly, here's the really unsettling thought. You see your cat suddenly bolt across the room, pouncing at nothing, or just staring intently at a blank wall. We think it's cute and quirky, But what if they're seeing something that's actually there? A glitch, a rendering artifact, a seam in the simulation that our clunky human hardware just can't pick up. So where does all this lead? Well, it leads to a pretty stunning conclusion about who's really in charge in the relationship between us and our cats. If you've ever read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, this might sound a little familiar. Remember how the mice were actually these hyper-intelligent beings running a giant experiment on humans? The key insight there is that any experiment works way better when the subjects don't even know they're being experimented on, when they think they're the ones in charge. Okay, now check out this timeline. Doesn't the timing seem just a little suspicious? A little too convenient? Right when humans invent these perfect, permanent, climate-controlled laboratories, what we call settlements, or cities, cats suddenly decide to domesticate themselves and move right in. The story we tell ourselves is that they were just following the mice. But what if they were following the researchers to the brand new labs?
And this table just lays it all out. It's the great reversal. We think we're the pet owners, but maybe we're just the NPCs, the non-player characters. We think they're our companions, but they're the principal investigators. We're not giving them homes. We're building their global research infrastructure without even knowing it.
Douglas Adams wrote it as satire. The cats, well, they just implemented it as strategy. So, yeah, the next time you see your cat about to nudge something off your desk, maybe just let them. They're doing important work. And maybe ask yourself, if we assume they domesticated themselves just for food and shelter, what if that was just the pilot program? What if the snack cupboard was just the unit test? What is the real, long-term experiment that they're running? On us.